The name Halong, meaning descending dragon, hints at a mythical origin. But the reality is a geological saga spanning 500 million years. What we see today, 1,969 limestone islets rising from the emerald water, is the culmination of a slow, relentless process. This was once a vast limestone plateau, meticulously carved by tropical rains over millennia through a process known as karstic erosion. Then, as the last great ice age receded, rising sea levels inundated the valleys, leaving only these tower-like peaks exposed. We are, in essence, sailing through the ghost of a drowned landscape, where each sheer cliff and hidden grotto is a testament to the immense, patient power of water and time. It's a place that forces a shift in perspective, where human history feels like a mere whisper against the deep resonance of planetary change. To see Mont Saint-Michel is to witness a conversation between geology and faith, spoken across 13 centuries. Long before the first stone of its abbey was laid, this granite outcrop, then known as Montombe, was a pagan sanctuary, an isolated sentinel in a vast, forested bay before the sea claimed the land. The dramatic tides, some of the most powerful in Europe, with a range of nearly 15 meters, would have reinforced its otherworldly status, periodically severing it from the mainland. This natural defense was later harnessed by its Christian architects, who, following a reported vision of the Archangel Michael in the year 708, began the audacious task of building not just on the rock, but into it. The abbey we see today is a singular masterpiece of medieval engineering, where the very foundations seem to grow from the earth itself, a testament not only to divine inspiration, but to a profound human understanding of a landscape that both isolates and protects. Carved into the Philippine Cordilleras over generations, these terraces appear less like a farm and more like a work of colossal land art, a veritable stairway to the sky. Yet their true genius lies not just in their scale, but in their intricate, living design. A sophisticated, gravity-fed irrigation system channels water from the sacred mountaintop forests, nourishing each paddy in a precise, downward cascade. This ancient network is maintained not by written blueprints, but by ancestral knowledge, passed down through ritual and oral tradition, a system of communal cooperation that has sustained the Ifugao people for centuries. While often mythologized to be 2,000 years old, the terraces stand as a testament to a continuous, multi-generational effort. They represent a profound harmony between humanity and nature, a landscape engineered by hand, stone by stone, to create abundance from the very bones of the mountains. It is a living monument, not to a single king or empire, but to the collective will and ingenuity of a people in dialogue with their environment. The name Meteora translates to suspended in the air, a description that feels less like poetry and more like a statement of fact when you first witness these colossal pillars of rock. But these formations are not an act of divine sculpture. They are the patient work of geology, born some 60 million years ago as the delta of a vast river emptying into a prehistoric sea. Over millennia, layers of stone and conglomerate were deposited, then thrust upwards by the same tectonic forces that formed the Pindus Mountains. Water, wind, and seismic shifts methodically carved away the softer stone, leaving behind these monumental columns, some reaching over 300 meters into the sky. It was precisely this raw verticality that drew the first Christian hermits here around the 9th century. They sought not just a fortress against worldly threats, but a physical elevation that mirrored their spiritual aspirations, a bridge between earth and heaven. In this landscape, you witness a profound dialogue between immense geological time and the enduring human quest for meaning, a conversation written in stone and faith across the Thessalian plain. Its name, Alhambra, whispers its origin. Alcala Alhambra, the Red Fortress. This isn't merely a poetic title, but a geological fact. The formidable ramparts are constructed from tapia, a rammed earth mixed with the iron-rich red clays of the very hill upon which it sits, the Sabika. It gives the impression that the complex wasn't so much built on the hill as it was grown from it, a natural extension of the landscape. This rugged, almost severe exterior intentionally conceals the paradise within. For the Nasrid dynasty, beginning in the 13th century, this was never just a palace. It was a self-contained Medina, a city unto itself, with barracks, royal workshops, and homes for its court. Every courtyard, every channel of water, flowing through carved marble, was a meticulously engineered element designed to manifest a vision of heaven on earth, a final, brilliant bastion of Islamic culture in Iberia. It stands as a testament to a dynasty that understood power was expressed not only through fortifications, but through the creation of unparalleled, enduring beauty. The iconic crescent of Santorini, a cascade of whitewashed villages clinging to volcanic cliffs, is an image of profound tranquility. Yet, this serene landscape is a direct consequence of one of the most violent geological events in human history. Around 3,600 years ago, the volcano at the heart of the island, then known as Thera, erupted with a force hundreds of times greater than the atomic bomb at Hiroshima. This cataclysmic explosion blew the island's center apart, creating the vast, sea-filled caldera we see today and preserving the sophisticated Minoan settlement of Akrotiri under a thick blanket of ash. The very cliffs that now support these idyllic towns are a stark, layered testament to that ancient fury. It is a powerful reminder that here, perhaps more than anywhere else on Earth, a breathtaking beauty was forged directly from an unimaginable destruction, leaving a civilization frozen in time and a landscape forever reshaped by fire. To stand amidst the Swiss Alps is to feel a sense of profound permanence, of unshakable stone and eternal snow. Yet this serene landscape is the result of one of the most dynamic events in our planet's history. These peaks are not simply Earth pushed skyward. They are the geological scars of a slow-motion continental collision that began some 60 million years ago, when the African tectonic plate began its relentless advance into the Eurasian plate. The immense pressure folded, fractured, and thrust ancient seabeds and continental crust for hundreds of kilometers, creating vast, overlapping sheets of rock known as nappies. Incredibly, this means the iconic pyramid of the Matterhorn is composed of harder gneiss and gabbro from the African crust, a geological outlier resting incongruously atop the softer rock of Europe. This violent continental ballet, unfolding over eons, is the hidden architect of the grandeur we see today, a silent testament that the very ground beneath our feet is a living record of immense forces, and that even mountains are not eternal, but merely transient actors on a geological stage. At first glance, the Giant's Causeway appears as a deliberate act of artistry, a pavement laid for titans. Yet its origin story is one of elemental physics, written in stone some 60 million years ago, during the Paleocene epoch. This coastline was a crucible of volcanic activity, where molten basalt flowing from vast fissures in the earth began to cool. As the thick lava lake contracted, it fractured in a process known as columnar jointing, creating the near-perfect geometric shapes we see today. Over 40,000 of these interlocking pillars march from the cliff foot into the unforgiving North Atlantic. Most are hexagonal, but some possess 5, 7, or even 8 sides, a subtle variation in a theme of geological precision. To stand here is not just to see a landscape, but to witness the slow, inexorable mathematics of a cooling planet, a silent testament to a time when fire and water sculpted the very foundations of this land. Kyoto's profound sense of tranquility is no accident of time, but the enduring legacy of a meticulously planned vision. When the imperial court established its capital here in the year 794, they called it Heian-kyo, the capital of peace and tranquility. Its design was not born of Japan, but was a near-perfect replica of Chang'an, the cosmopolitan capital of Tang Dynasty China. This rigid grid system, a checkerboard of streets and avenues, was more than a feat of urban planning. It was a cosmic diagram laid upon the earth. The location itself was chosen according to the ancient principles of geomancy, with the city deliberately cradled by mountains to the north, east, and west for spiritual protection. Even today, as you walk these orderly streets, you feel this deliberate harmony. A city built on logic, yet forever in dialogue with the sacred, untamed nature that holds it in its embrace. It is a place where imperial order and the spirit of the landscape became one. The indigenous Guarani people named this place Iguazu, the Great Water, a term of profound, almost poetic understatement. What we are witnessing is not a single cascade, but a complex geological drama unfolding across a nearly 3-kilometer wide stage. The story begins some 132 million years ago, when a colossal volcanic event flooded the Parana Plateau with dense, dark basalt. The river, in its patient, relentless search for the sea, eventually found and exploited a fault line in this stone shield. This geological imperfection is the secret to Iguazu's character, forcing the water into a spectacular 2-step plunge over the hard upper basalt layer onto a softer layer below. The result is this sprawling amphitheater of nearly 300 distinct waterfalls. At its heart is the Garganta del Diablo, the Devil's Throat, an 82-meter deep chasm where half the river's volume converges. This is the raw, deafening engine of the falls, a visceral reminder that the landscape is not static, but is actively being sculpted, receding a few millimeters each year, on a timeline far grander than our own. The common perception of the Great Wall is of a single, continuous entity, yet the reality is far more complex and revealing. What we see today is not one wall, but a vast network of fortifications, built, abandoned, and rebuilt over the course of nearly 2 millennia by successive dynasties. The ingenuity lies in its profound connection to the landscape itself. In the arid western deserts, the earliest sections were constructed from rammed earth and reeds, the only materials available. Here, closer to the ancient capitals, the Ming emperors commanded the creation of these iconic stone and brick sections, with a mortar bound by glutinous rice flour, a testament to their advanced engineering. Each watchtower, each crenellation, is therefore a direct conversation with the geology beneath it. The wall isn't merely an imposition on the terrain. It is the very earth and rock of these mountains, quarried and reassembled into a declaration of imperial will, a winding stone chronicle of humanity's enduring struggle to define and defend its own borders against the vastness of the land. Here, the very ground breathes, exhaling plumes of steam that veil the landscape in an ancient mist. It is easy to be mesmerized by the vibrant, impossible colors of a feature like the Grand Prismatic Spring. But these thermal wonders are merely the surface expressions of a colossal and restless force. Beneath our feet lies the Yellowstone caldera, a supervolcano with a magma chamber so vast it could swallow a major city, its molten rock simmering just 5 miles below. The last cataclysmic eruption occurred over 631,000 years ago. Yet this system is not dormant, but dynamic. Every geyser that erupts, every hot spring that bubbles, is a direct and constant reminder of the immense geological engine shaping this land from within. This is not a static park preserved in time, but a place in a state of perpetual creation, revealing the Earth's raw, formative power on a scale that humbles our human sense of history. While the Pyramid of Kukulkan commands the horizon, the true genesis of Chichen Itza's power lies hidden beneath the earth. The Yucatan Peninsula is a vast limestone shelf, a seemingly inhospitable landscape devoid of any surface rivers. The Maya thrived here for one reason: the cenotes, natural sinkholes that collapse to reveal the groundwater beneath. The city's very name, Chichen Itza, translates to "at the mouth of the well of the Itza," a direct homage to the great cenote Sagrado that served as its spiritual and physical heart. This was far more than a simple well. For centuries, it was a site of profound pilgrimage and ritual, a place where offerings of jade, gold, and human life were given to the rain god, Chak. For the Itza, these deep, turquoise pools were not mere geological quirks, but sacred portals, liminal spaces connecting the world of the living to the watery underworld, the realm known as Xibalba. While the world sees a monument of perfect symmetry, the true genius of the Taj Mahal lies in its very skin, the legendary Makrana marble. Sourced from over 400 kilometers away, this specific stone possesses a remarkable, almost supernatural quality. Its high calcite content gives it a luminous translucence, allowing it to not merely reflect light, but to absorb and hold it within its crystalline structure. This is why the mausoleum seems to breathe with the sky. At dawn, it blushes with a soft, rose-tinted hue. Under the stark midday sun, it radiates a brilliant, almost blinding white. And as evening falls, it captures the sun's last embers, glowing a warm, honeyed gold. It took the labor of over 20,000 artisans and a fleet of 1,000 elephants nearly 2 decades to construct this vision. A testament not just to an emperor's love, but to an architectural understanding that a building meant to represent paradise on earth must itself be alive to the heavens, constantly changing, forever in dialogue with the light. To walk through Dubrovnik is to tread upon the foundations of a forgotten maritime power. the Republic of Ragusa. For over 450 years, this city-state masterfully navigated the treacherous currents of Mediterranean politics, a shrewd and wealthy rival to the mighty Venice. Its formidable walls rising sheer from the Adriatic were not mere decoration, but a stark statement of intent, a declaration of sovereignty built with the profits of trade and the cunning of diplomacy. The city's official motto, that liberty is not sold for all the gold in the world, echoes down the centuries. You can feel it in the very fabric of the place, in the limestone of the Straton, polished to a marble gleam by countless generations, who walk these streets not as subjects of a distant empire, but as free citizens of a proud and resilient republic. Suspended nearly 8,000 feet above sea level, the genius of Machu Picchu is not merely its dramatic location, but its silent, enduring resilience. The Inca were master stonemasons, employing a technique called ashlar, where immense stones were shaped to fit together so perfectly that not even a blade can slide between them. This was not simply an aesthetic choice. Built atop two active fault lines in a region prone to seismic activity, the citadel was engineered to move with the earth. During a tremor, these stones are said to dance, shifting with the shock waves before settling back into their precise positions. This sophisticated understanding of geodynamics, also evident in the trapezoidal doorways and inwardly inclined walls, allowed the city to survive for over 500 years, where more rigid structures would have long since crumbled. What we witness here is more than a ruin. It is a profound architectural dialogue with a living, formidable landscape, a testament to a civilization that did not seek to conquer nature, but to harmonize with its immense power. To gaze upon Cappadocia is to witness a story told in stone, a narrative that began some 60 million years ago when three colossal volcanoes blanketed this Anatolian plateau in layers of soft volcanic tuff, capped by a more resilient layer of basalt. For millennia, wind and water went to work, eroding the softer rock while the hard basalt caps remained, sculpting these surreal formations we call fairy chimneys. But nature was only the first artist here. From the Hittites onward, civilizations saw not an obstacle, but an opportunity, carving into this malleable earth to create a subterranean world of homes, monasteries, and entire cities, extending as many as 8 levels deep. These were not mere caves, but sophisticated sanctuaries, their walls still bearing the faint whispers of Byzantine frescoes, a testament to a faith that sought refuge within the earth itself. It is this profound symbiosis, the geological accident, and the human imperative to survive and create, that defines Cappadocia transforming it from a mere landscape into a living chronicle of resilience. To stand here is to witness a landscape that feels eternal, an ocean of grass stretching to a horizon defined only by the sky. But this iconic vista is not an accident of geography. It is the direct result of a violent, geological past. Millions of years ago, volcanoes of the Ngorongoro highlands erupted, blanketing these southern plains in a fine, nutrient-rich ash. This volcanic soil, or hardpan, is shallow, preventing deep-rooted trees from taking hold, but creating the perfect conditions for highly nutritious grasses to flourish with the seasonal rains. It is this very soil that dictates the rhythm of the entire ecosystem. Over 1 million wildebeest are drawn here, instinctively, to give birth on these plains, as the grass provides the vital calcium and phosphorus their calves need for rapid growth. The migration, therefore, doesn't simply pass through the Serengeti. It is born from its very foundations. What we are watching is not merely a spectacle of wildlife, but the living expression of a deep, geological clockwork, where the fate of every creature is written in the ancient dust beneath their hooves, a cycle of life and renewal, sculpted by fire and time. The first encounter with Angkor Wat is not with stone, but with water. This vast moat, nearly 200 meters wide, is more than a defensive barrier. It is a brilliant feat of hydraulic engineering. Carved into the unstable sandy soil, it acts as a colossal stabilizer, regulating the groundwater table through the cycle of monsoon and dry season. Without this liquid foundation, the temple's immense weight, over 5 million tons of stone, would have caused it to collapse centuries ago. The sandstone itself tells a story of ambition. Quarried from the sacred Kulin Mountains, more than 50 kilometers away, each block was floated down a complex network of canals during the wet season. The sheer logistical scale of this operation, undertaken in the early 12th century without modern machinery, is almost impossible to comprehend. Every element here, from the water that cradles it to the stone that forms its soul, was meticulously planned to create a microcosm of the Hindu universe. a testament not just to a king's power, but to an entire civilization's desire to anchor their cosmic beliefs in the very earth beneath their feet. The Kololo people called it Mosi Oatunya, the smoke that thunders, a name that captures the raw sensory experience far better than any map ever could. But this is no ordinary waterfall carving its way through a mountain valley. Victoria Falls is a geological anomaly, a place where the mighty Zambezi River encounters a vast sheet of basalt, laid down some 180 million years ago. Tectonic pressures fractured this brittle rock, creating a series of deep east-west fissures. The river, in its relentless journey to the sea, found these weaknesses. What we witness is the entire volume of one of Africa's great rivers plunging into one of these immense cracks, a chasm over 100 meters deep and spanning more than 1.7 kilometers. The result is the largest single curtain of falling water on the planet, a spectacle whose power is not in its height, but in its sheer, uncompromising width. The zigzagging gorges downstream are the scars of this process, each one a relic of a former waterfall. The chasm we see today is but a fleeting moment in this slow-motion retreat, a testament to water's patient power over stone, played out on a continental scale. To stand within Yosemite is to witness a masterclass in geological artistry, sculpted over millions of years. The valley's iconic granite faces, from the sheer wall of El Capitan to the arcing crown of Half Dome, are not merely the result of glacial carving. They tell a deeper story of pressure and release. As colossal ice sheets, some over 3,000 feet thick, finally retreated around 10,000 years ago, the compressed granodiorite of the Sierra Nevada batholith began to expand. This rebound caused the rock to fracture in vast, curved layers, a process known as exfoliation. It is this slow-motion peeling, combined with the scouring power of the glaciers themselves, that gives the domes their signature smooth, rounded appearance. We are not just looking at mountains. We are seeing the visible evidence of an immense weight lifted, a slow, elemental drama written in stone, a landscape shaped not only by what was forced upon it, but by its own powerful reaction to being set free. The glacial lakes of Banff possess a color that seems to defy nature, an impossible, luminous turquoise that glows from within. This is not an illusion, nor is it a trick of mineral deposits. It is the work of rock flour, a fine silt of quartz, and feldspar ground from the bedrock by the immense weight of moving glaciers over thousands of years. Suspended in the meltwater, these microscopic particles absorb most wavelengths of sunlight, but scatter the blue and green, painting the water with the very essence of the mountains themselves. The glaciers, some remnants of the last ice age more than 10,000 years ago, are not just distant features on the horizon. They are active artists, continuously grinding down the Canadian Rockies and delivering this signature pigment to the valley floor. Every shimmering surface is therefore a testament to a slow, powerful, and ongoing creation, a direct, visible link to the deep time that shaped this land. It is a reminder that here, the story of geology is not just written in stone, but is also dissolved in water, a living history told in a language of light and ice. The journey into Petra is not merely an approach, but a carefully orchestrated revelation. Long before the iconic treasury appears, the walls of the SIQ, this winding 1-kilometer-long gorge, tell a more fundamental story of survival. Look closely, and you can trace the channels carved by Nabatean engineers over 2,000 years ago, a sophisticated hydrological network designed to capture every precious drop of rainwater and pipe it into the city center. This mastery of water is Petra's foundational secret, the reason a bustling trade hub of some 20,000 souls could flourish in the heart of an arid landscape. The same rose-red sandstone that yielded to the sculptor's chisel also served as the aqueduct for its people, a dual purpose that speaks volumes of their resourcefulness. It forces us to see this place not as a static collection of magnificent tombs, but as it truly was, a vibrant metropolis, born from a civilization that didn't just carve a home from the rock, but commanded the very elements to bring it to life. To gaze upon the Amalfi Coast is to witness a landscape born from geological drama and human defiance. These are not gentle hills rolling placidly to the sea, but the formidable, jagged peaks of the Laetare Mountains, a formidable spine of limestone and dolomite, plunging with breathtaking abruptness directly into the azure depths of the Tyrrhenian. One immediately comprehends that the vertical towns, clinging precariously to the rock in a cascade of pastel hues, were not built this way for the view, but out of stark necessity. For the ancient maritime republic of Amalfi, this unforgiving terrain was its greatest fortress, an impenetrable bulwark against Saracen raids and rival powers, a natural defense that allowed its maritime commerce and naval power to flourish from the 9th to the 11th centuries. The sea was their empire, but these cliffs were their shield. Every terraced lemon grove, a meticulously engineered shelf held by dry stone walls, and every switchback road, carved impossibly from the cliffside, is a line in a centuries-long dialogue between the people and the stone. It is a landscape that speaks not merely of sublime beauty, but of a profound and enduring resilience, where ingenuity was the absolute price of survival. And the result is a breathtaking testament to humanity's capacity to carve a vibrant civilization from the most unyielding of canvases. Stretching towards the horizon, the plains of Began are punctuated by a seemingly infinite forest of spires, a spectacle born from an extraordinary period of religious fervor. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, the rulers and citizens of the pagan kingdom embarked on a frenzy of temple construction, each structure an act of kusala, a personal deed of merit-making intended to improve one's karma. This wasn't merely the domain of kings. Nobles, officials, and even commoners contributed, resulting in over 10,000 original temples and stupas. Today, more than 2,200 of these monuments survive, a sprawling archaeological zone where grand gold-leafed pagodas stand alongside humble, weathered brick temples. Each one, from the most imposing to the most modest, is a distinct echo of a personal prayer, together forming a vast, silent library of a kingdom's collective faith, etched not in ink, but in fired brick and carved stucco against the vast Myanmar sky. Beneath the impossible grandeur of Venice lies an equally impossible foundation, a petrified forest driven deep into the lagoon floor. To secure this marshy refuge from mainland invaders, early Venetians hammered an estimated 11 million timber piles, alder, oak, and larch, into the dense, anaerobic mud. Deprived of oxygen, the wood did not rot. Instead, it calcified over centuries, hardening into a stone-like base capable of supporting immense weight. Upon this submerged, man-made geology rests the entire weight of the Republic's ambition. Every basilica dome, every gilded palazzo, and the very ground on which we stand. The city's shimmering reflection, therefore, is more than an image of ethereal beauty. It is a constant, silent reminder of the audacious engineering hidden just below, a testament not to conquering the landscape, but to the sheer human will required to coexist with it on the most precarious of terms.